Are orange cats actually a little crazier? Welcome to today's Tiny Curiosity episode. A small question, but a surprisingly fun one. If you spend time online or around cat owners, you've probably heard the joke. Orange cats are different. More chaotic, more fearless, sometimes strangely affectionate, sometimes doing things that make you wonder if gravity is just a suggestion. But is that real? Or are we just seeing patterns where none exist? Let's start with the one solid piece of biology behind the orange cat mystery. The orange fur color comes from a gene that sits on the X-chromosome. That detail matters. Male cats have one X and one Y chromosome. So if that single X carries the orange gene, the cat becomes orange. Simple. Female cats, on the other hand, have two X chromosomes. For a female to be fully orange, both X chromosomes would need that gene. That's much rarer. So statistically, most orange cats you see are male. And that leads to the next layer of the puzzle. Male cats often behave differently from females. They tend to be more risk-taking, more territorial, more curious about things they probably shouldn't investigate. You might say they're more likely to leap first and think later. So when people say orange cats act a little wild, it may simply be because many of them are male. Not magic. Just genetics and behavior mixing together. But then there's the second twist. Many of the most memorable orange cats aren't just orange. They're orange and white. That pattern appears because of another gene 1 that creates white patches in the fur, sometimes called the piebald gene. Now, this gene isn't about personality, at least not in any proven scientific way. But some people who work with animals notice a pattern. Cats with those white patches often seem very comfortable around humans, more social, more willing to approach people, more willing to interact. Imagine that combination for a moment. A cat that is naturally bold and curious, and also unusually comfortable around humans. That's the perfect recipe for a cat that jumps into every situation. The cat that climbs the curtain. The cat that walks straight into the middle of the room like it owns the place. The cat that decides your keyboard is the best bed in the house. Now here's where things get interesting. Science is careful about claims like this. Researchers generally agree that coat color alone doesn't determine personality. Every cat is still an individual. But sometimes genetics travels in clusters. Genes that sit close to each other on a chromosome can be inherited together. So some scientists wonder very cautiously if genes related to coat color might sometimes sit near genes that influence aspects of the brain. That's not a confirmed rule. It's more of a curiosity. A possibility. But even the possibility raises a fascinating thought. Could something as simple as fur color occasionally travel with tiny differences in behavior? Not enough to define a personality, but enough to create a pattern people notice. And people definitely notice. Online communities even joke about it. There's a famous phrase floating around the internet. Orange cats share one brain cell. It's not meant literally, of course. It's just a playful way to describe how many orange cats seem endlessly curious and occasionally hilariously chaotic. But here's another angle worth thinking about. Maybe the reason we notice orange cats more isn't their intelligence or their madness. Maybe it's their social boldness. Think about two cats. One hides in the corner. The other walks directly into the room, jumps onto your lap, and knocks over a glass in the process. Which one do you remember? Which one ends up in videos online? Probably the second one. The cat that interacts more with humans creates more memorable moments, more stories, more chaos. And suddenly, it feels like orange cats have a personality category all their own. But here's a fun cultural twist. In internet culture, People sometimes describe different cats almost like characters. Black cats, silent observers. Gray cats, mysterious philosophers. And orange cats? Something like chaotic adventurers, fearless, curious, sometimes affectionate to the point of absurdity. The kind of cat that doesn't just sit next to you. It climbs directly onto your head. Now step back for a moment. What makes this question so fascinating isn't just cats. It's how humans interpret patterns. Our brains love to connect dots. We see repeated behaviors and start building stories. Sometimes those stories contain a kernel of biological truth, like the X-chromosome behind orange fur. And sometimes the story grows from shared observation. A cultural meme born from thousands of people watching their pets do strange things. So are orange cats actually crazier? Maybe not. But many of them are male. Many of them are bold. And some of them are extremely social. Mix those traits together, and you get a cat that is impossible to ignore. The cat that jumps, climbs, investigates everything. The cat that turns everyday life into a small, unpredictable experiment. And maybe that's the real secret, not madness. Just curiosity turned all the way up, which raises one last question. If curiosity shapes personality, and boldness makes behavior more visible, then maybe orange cats aren't crazier. Maybe they're simply the cats that decided the world is too interesting to watch quietly. And honestly, that might make them the most entertaining scientists of the animal world.